What is up, everybody? This is Recap and Rewind. I'm J-Lag.
And I'm NB.
And we are recapping and reviewing American Horror Story Apocalypse Season 8, Episode 3. And it's called...
Forbidden Fruit.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
oh my god, it was so good.
I can't even... I'm like so
we
excited
just watched it, guys,
episode.
so I'm still like kind of reeling from everything that happened. There was so much that happened in this episode. Like, I don't know. Like, it was a huge episode. I'm so satisfied with the season so far. I'm so happy with it.
Like, this came in at the perfect time. I can't even wait to talk about it.
And don't forget, guys, stick around for the ending because we are going to go through our recap roundups, our best moments, our MVPs, our best lines. So stick around for that.
And if you are just joining in, make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe. And to our returning listeners, thanks for listening. And let's get into it.
The intro sequence was like, I was just blown away by how fast everything was moving. And they sort of started off with Michael talking to, I believe, Mr. Gallant.
Basically everyone, right?
It was everyone, but it was basically what he was saying was kind of transitioning into like the next character's scene with him.
Yeah, it was a cool edit.
Everything was just like, the edit was really fast. And like everything was like we were finding out a bunch of information. And then it ended off with like Mallory's whole part. So what did you think of that whole, like intro part? Because I was like, whoa, I had to rewind it. I was like, I need to watch this again. It was so good.
I had to. It was a really good watch, and I just don't know. Like I at so many points I didn't know who he was talking to. I was like,
which is like what they're trying to do, obviously, right. Like you. Because
he's like, I want to choose you, and then it would cut to the other person, and then it would be like, I'm evil. There's something inside me, and then it would be like.
Yeah,
this person's
he
evil.
Was like, don't worry, I forgive you.
Yeah,
and then it cuts to like Mr. Gallant. He's like, really? Even though I killed my grandma, he's like, yeah, you're good. Don't worry.
Yeah, I was
like, oh, sick. Okay, so like he's forgiven too.
He's forgiven. Timothy got saved like at the very last second by Michael. So like that, those are the things that happened because I started watching the episode and I'm like, oh, they like really fast forwarded, like they skipped a bit of time.
I totally love that.
Which I was fine with.
Covered off all of that so quickly, and especially when he gets to Mallory, which is like really like the first time that we get to see into her character. Billy Ward's character more, and I was so excited about this.
First of all, her top bun is like on fire.
Yeah, I'm like loving that bun life.
And she basically talks shit on Coco, and
he wants her to admit that. He wants her to admit, like, you hate her, like you've hated her this whole time, and she's like, yeah, like I do, but like whatever, like she's still like crazy, so like I put up with her, and he kind of just wants to see this like darkness, I guess, come out of her.
It's also just hilarious that like there's a shot where Coco tells her to wipe her butt.
Oh my god. I was like, you know what? Like, spoiler alert, guys, sorry, but when I saw that scene, I was like, Coco, you ain't gonna make it. Like, I just knew it. I was like, this girl is too much of a bitch to make it alive out of this episode. There's no way.
Yeah.
So basically, he wants to admit like she's bad or whatever.
Right.
And then, like, even Mallory admits, she's like, I have this, like, I feel like there's something inside me that's, like, creeping up, but, like, I don't know what it is.
Right.
And Mike's like, okay, like, tell me, girl, what is it? She's like, no. She's like, I can't do this right now.
Yeah.
She was kind of, like, sketching out. Yeah, and so she tries to leave.
But before we finish her part, let's talk really quickly about, I don't know her name anymore, but the talk show host.
Yes, Adina Porter's character. Okay. Did you know she was the mom of that guy?
No, that was a full turn of events.
So. I was like, AKA, either I missed something really big, or I'm like, they didn't tell us this.
No, they didn't tell us that information before. I didn't want to be racist and assume that the two people who are colored in the bunker are related, but they were.
Clearly are. And apparently he hates his mom too. He has mommy issues, obviously.
For sure, he's like, she's
everyone does in Ryan Murphy's world. So
yeah, seriously.
So yeah, he hates her. And then what does Michael say to him? Like, do you want to kill her or something? Like, what was that?
I think he just keeps saying the whole, you're going to get in. Like, you get a card. Like, everybody's getting in.
I think also what Michael's trying to say is, like, everyone assumes that, like, I want someone who's good.
Right.
Which is kind of the gist of that intro conversation. Like,
no,
I want more than just, like, good people.
Yeah, he wants like, dark people who are different.
Is he the devil?
Because he the devil. Well, he does say something along the lines of, the old world was built on rules and being good. This new world, I want to create something different, basically.
Right.
Okay, so back to Mallory.
Yeah, so the biggest moment I think of this intro sequence was definitely like my WTF moment was like right here. I was like, okay, I'm done now. I'm good.
100%.
Because Mallory basically goes to like open the door and she's like, I'm leaving, and he grabs her. He's like, no, stay, and she's like, bitch, get off of me.
Well, he says to her, "What's your power? Like, what is it inside of you? Like, let's activate it." And she's like, "Get away from me! I can't do this right now." And then she has this like charmed moment where she blasts everything in the room.
Yeah, she like I don't know, lights go off, the freaking fireplace like catches on fire.
Yeah.
And then she, I guess, like startles him. He's like, "What the fuck?" And then he bites back.
Right.
And he shows this really weird, like devilish face of
like
his.
Old face, like old man face. It was really creepy.
It was so creepy. It just kind of like pops out of the shadows.
He like retaliates, right?
Like in rebuttal to her kind of anger.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they look at each other and he's like, "What the F are you?" Like he was so shook. He was like, "What?"
And then she's like, "But what are you though? Like you weirdo." And
so what did you think of that like whole thing?
I mean, I was gagged because I was so excited because I'm like, she's a witch. I'm so excited. The witches are coming.
Yeah.
So sure. I got really excited about that. But then when he came back and he was some devil monster thing, I was very confused. But at the same time, I guess we're assuming that he's supernatural as well.
Yeah, he has to be, for sure.
So seeing this like demon side of him, I wasn't too surprised. So
guys, this is how much I'm thirsty for a love story. Literally, this is what I thought. Listen, this is what I thought.
Oh, God.
I was like, oh shit. I'm like, he likes her. Like he was turned on by her because like maybe she's like Mrs. Satan. Like maybe she's like the darkness, the female darkness of him.
And he's like, "Oh, I like that."
And then I'm like, "Oh, like love story." And then I'm like, "No, she's probably just a witch." I'm like, tone it down.
So
basically, she rubs on him, and then what's his response to her?
He has this moment where he basically turns into this like old demonic looking monster thing.
His face
turns into that, and then it goes back to normal, and she's like, "What the hell?"
It was so freaky.
It was so creepy.
But it was almost like the vibe was almost like neither one of them understood like what just happened or everything kind of just blew up like so quickly that even he was like, "Whoa, like what the F?" He's so like, "What crazy. Are you?" And she was like, "What are you?"
Yeah,
they both were kind of like, "What's going on right now?"
Yeah, and so then she runs away at that point, and he's very confused, and then it cuts to the credits. So speaking of credits, this is the one thing that kind of really annoys me about the show, and I guess shows in general, is when they show the guest star freaking credits. So I was all excited. I was watching the scene, and it's basically Michael starting this like seance situation. And while I'm watching this, I'm trying to pay attention, obviously, and I know that the guest stars always show up at the bottom left corner. But of course, my eye goes to it, and sure enough, I see Francis Conroy's name come up, and I see Billy Eichner's name come up as guest stars, and I'm like,
you're like, okay, I know what's gonna happen. You know, it's like, so funny that you're saying that now. I booked it this time too. Like I always see it, but this time I think just because like of the scene that we were watching with Michael doing the ritual, like it was such a like creepy scene, and then all you see is like this like you're seeing this like white blaring, and like their text is so like unique too. It's like this white like unique like text, and I'm like, okay, now I know who's gonna show up. So
I was lit about it. I was so excited, but at the same time it frustrates.
But not really, because like I want to be surprised. I want to watch this episode and like not know what's gonna happen at all. So like it kind of, and I get it, like they have to give credit to these actors like for sure, but like I feel like there has to be a better way of doing those special guest star credits, like because you're ruining it. Do something else.
Like obviously we know they're in the show, just like leave it. But so I was like basically spending the entire episode waiting for these characters to show up, which is kind of annoying, but whatever. Anyway, so it's over the top, this scene where Michael is doing
doing like a sacrificial blood ritual kind of thing,
which is really gross and like bloody and disgusting.
And the interesting thing was like he was using snakes, right? Like with the blood there was like all these like snakes like swirling around him. And I remember last week or the week before, we were mentioning how like snakes might be a connection to
Coven.
The Coven, right? So what did you think with this one? And like him using the snakes, because I initially assumed that like snakes are like the devil's kind of like animal.
True, that's a good point.
So seeing him like have that connection with these animals, I was like, oh, maybe that was just him being like
with everybody.
Yeah, like maybe. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think now watching it now and seeing how the snakes literally came out of the little star, I was like, okay, maybe he was the one that started that whole situation,
like serpent.
But then again, like I don't know, I guess I was just really thirsty for those witches, so I have no idea.
You're like, they're coming. Like, yeah. I mean, they are coming.
Yeah,
so,
exactly. But
I mean, so he does this whole.
At the same time, witches do like dabble in the darkness as well. So like they could have maybe also had something to do with it.
And I think maybe that's what it is when they dabble in that darkness witchcraft.
Right.
It's like the snakes. I don't know.
Anyway,
the point of his whole ritual was to basically ask God or whoever he's like talking to, his like thing. He's like, there's one here.
I thought I got rid of them.
He's like, I thought I killed them all. He's like, but there's still one here. Like, obviously he's talking about witches. And so what does he see? Like, he's going to kill her, or like, what is he going to do about it?
Well, he wants guidance as to like what to do next. And then his eyes go black at that moment.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was really
scary.
That
was really gross. But yeah, I think that also like when you think about witches and demons and devils and stuff like that, I feel like they all kind of are part of the same realm, but it's just that he wants more power, because it seems like he's dabbled and fought with witches in the past. So like there's
true.
definitely some
you're right.
connection there where he's like just like has a feud with the witches. So then it cuts to a really random storyline with Miss Meade.
Mm-hmm. I loved this part because it like I was saying, the episode was very like all over the place.
Yeah.
And I felt like her story, I loved it. Very random, but I think also because they're getting ready for Halloween, so like her kind of story.
It cuts
so they
to
basically
like
cut back to like
in
her monumental like Halloween like memories, I guess.
Right.
And the first one is like her as a kid, and she like dresses up as a robot from the Jetsons.
Yeah.
And then she has a memory from like being a teenager like during Halloween. And then her last one is like Halloween in 1988, and she was like a freaking agent for Mossad and kicking some guy's ass in the kitchen. I was like, what the hell is going on?
So random.
This girl's origin story is so sick, but I loved it. Like that fight sequence was really cool to watch.
Right.
So, and then it kind of weaves through that, and then it explains that she's been talking to Venable the whole time.
Right.
Like she's sort of going through her memories with her.
Right. And she basically says, at the end of the day, I don't think that any of those memories are real.
Yeah.
But I thought that that was my history this whole time. She does mention this one thing where she says, at one point in time, I remember protecting a blonde child.
Yeah.
But I don't remember what happens because my memories don't go past that. And every single time I think about it, it makes me want to cry.
Yeah. She's like, I don't know who he is. I don't know where he came from. I don't know if he's mine. But she's like, all I know is that like I loved him because every time I think of him, like I cry.
Right.
And it was so emotional, but I'm like, oh, who's she talking
about?
What's
really interesting? Even I know at that moment, as soon as I heard blonde child, I was
boy,
like, it's obviously like Michael. That's the first time that we like saw him in Coven, or not Coven, like the first season. So the question then is, what was her role in that? And anyway, we'll talk about that a little bit later, but that was definitely like a flag for me. But the one thing that Venable does say to her, she does say, do you remember Michael from anything? Like, is he a part of your past? And she's like, no, I don't know who he is. But they basically want to devise a plan as to figure out what to do about this situation, because it turns out that Miss Venable is not going to be joining the new place, the sanctuary.
Right.
And Miss Meade is like, that's unacceptable. I'm not okay with that. We have to do something about this. I'm loyal to you, and I want to make sure that you're a part of the new world.
Right.
So then she's like, then let's kill all of them. Like, I just want to figure out how to kill them all so you can be a part of it.
Yeah. So it's really Miss Meade's decision to be like, well, if we kill everyone, then like maybe he'll take us with him to Sanctuary.
Exactly, which is obviously one of the things that you have to kind of pay attention to once you realize what happens at the end of the episode.
Right.
So, yeah. So
then it cuts to the outside world, right?
Yeah. It shows these guys scavenging, and they're all like disgusting and gross and weird, and it's supposed to be like one of those funny moments because at one point in time I think one of them is cooking the leg of like a human being on the spit roast, and he's like, I was a finalist on Top Chef, and like I know how to cook my meat or whatever. It was just really like, I guess it was like their version of like funny. But yeah, we got to go outside in the world.
So we get to go outside, and I'm always down to see like something other than the freaking bunker.
Even though it's like gross and like radiation filled. But
exactly. Sure. But we do see Brock, right?
Yes. So
Coco's like boyfriend / husband. I don't know what they were.
Yeah. So he shows up, and he's basically like, I'm looking for this next level
like
location.
Outpost. I heard there's like a place underground.
Right. And then he decides to kill them all. Well, like,
he's pretty badass. Like he's pretty like he's like very like Deadpoolish. Like he kills those people like that were like around him, and then he in that moment sees a really speeding fast black carriage that we recognize
as the one that Michael came
with. Yeah. So Brock sees it and he's like, and then
it cuts to the next scene. But so before we move on, did you think that we were going to see Brock come back the way that he came back?
No, not at all. Not at all.
Like I was actually super impressed, because I feel like normally Billy Eichner plays these like sassy, loud, annoying gay guys, and now finally he's playing a character who seems pretty badass actually. So I'm pretty excited to see how his story is going to like go later on.
For sure.
So anyway, so he ends up going and following this carriage, and the carriage ends up in front of the bunker, in front of the outpost.
Right.
And it stops there. They're like, the perimeter's been breached. We have to go upstairs and like figure out what's happening. And so they go outside, and they open up the carriage, and there's nothing but a box inside of it. It's empty, and there's just a box. And they're like, what the F is this? So they take it inside, they scan it, and it's radiation free. But before they take it inside, the camera pans down, and Billy Eichner, aka like Brock, has been like clinging on for like dear life onto the carriage.
So he's been hiding under the carriage.
Yeah. So now he found like the outpost.
Yeah.
So then they scan it, whatever, and everything's fine. They open it up, and it's a bunch of like fresh apples,
like red, apples.
Like forbidden
and
fruit.
Right away, like Venable's lit. She's like, "Yes, I miss apples." And like the girl that's like Amazon Eve from Freak Show.
Yeah.
She's like, I love apples. Like I used to grow them in my farm. She's like, I know they're from the East Coast. She's like, I love them too. Like they're just getting so lit on these apples.
So wait, before you move forward, do you think that there's any connection, but Amazon Eve saying that one line, her saying like, "Oh, these are from the East Coast," and Venable saying like, "No, there is no East Coast. How do we be getting anything from the East Coast?" Do you think that was a line that we have to pay attention to? Because do you think that like maybe the apocalypse didn't reach everybody or something?
Yeah, that's true. Like we don't really know how far this apocalypse we don't know, and it's a very random like tidbit, but I feel like they do this in AHS, so it could very well possibly be like a little like Easter egg that we have to pay attention to.
Right.
But also, like, do we know that Michael brought the apples?
I think it's assumed just because the carriage came in the same way.
Okay, yeah.
Or at least maybe not Michael, but maybe it was from the
sanctuary,
right?
True. Okay.
So then Venable's like, I can't take it no more. I gotta eat this apple. She eats the apple, and she's like, it's delicious, whatever. She's so happy. And she's like, it tastes like so fresh. And then she doesn't decide actually. Specifically enough, it's Miss Meade who's
so they basically like look at each other and then like they send Amazon Eve's character like out. They're like, go get the horses, like go kill the horses,
Right.
So she dips, so it's just them two now, Venable and Miss Meade.
Yeah.
And they look at each other, and what does Miss Meade say? Like, oh, like if we
because they're basically like, this is from the sanctuary, this will be a good opportunity to like find a way to get rid of everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So she says we should poison these apples and then give it to everybody to eat. They won't stop at eating fresh fruit, and then they'll all die at the same time.
Yeah.
So that's their master plan.
Right.
So that was fine, and then
it cuts to like outside where we do see like Amazon Eve. She goes back to like get the horses, but then Brock's there and like stabs her in the back. So she kind of like, I don't know if she dies, but like she falls. He takes like her access key, and then like he walks into the outpost, and he has like access to the door, obviously. So he's in at this point.
But taking the fact that like later on in the episode, like Amazon Eve literally like disappears, like no one knows that she's been missing this whole time.
Well, I guess she's outside, right? So like, how are they gonna?
Like they literally had a Halloween
they
party
could look for her,
without
but, like,
her. Like
yeah,
she disappeared.
so true.
No one was like, "Where's Amazon Eve in this party?" Like so weird. Anyway,
so then
whatever.
It cuts back to the inside,
Halloween
and
party,
Mallory's just kind of like sitting there, like staring into the fire, and she's just kind of like brooding, and she's like, "Who am I? What am I here for?" And then I think right after that, it cuts to like Venable announcing the Halloween soiree, right?
Right, exactly. And so she's like, we're going to get lit. We're going to, celebrate or whatever. And it's going to be masquerade themed. And you know how I love masquerades. So I was super excited for this particular theme.
Yeah.
And everybody's getting
shady
excited.
Always happens at a masquerade ball. Like
always.
The premise already is shady AF because like you don't know who's who and like people are hiding. So I was like, oh no, shit's gonna go down.
And it did.
Yeah.
So then it cuts to Coco and Mr. Gallant. They're getting ready. Coco's like got this crazy ass hairdo going on, and Mallory's just trying to like Cinderella put together like some crazy mask.
But she's also like glitching out because like she's like, who am I? Still like she's still trying to figure out like who she is.
She's like having an existential crisis in the corner, and like Coco's like just thinking about her hair.
Coco's thinking about her hair, and she's basically like, oh, I know why they're doing this party. Like it's because like they already know who's coming to the sanctuary. They're gonna announce it tonight, like it's gonna be me. And then Mr. Gallant's like, wait, like I think you should already know if like you're going. Like I think because I already know, kind of.
Like low-key, I already know, yeah.
Yeah, and then Mallory like overhears and she's like, wait, like like what happened during your meeting? Like did something weird happen too?
Yeah.
Like he's like, bitch, what? Like what are you talking about?
And then she's like, okay, here's the tea. And mine, the fire exploded.
Yeah.
And she's like, no, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So then they're like, okay, she's like, yeah, I don't know what happened. I just feel like maybe like the radiation got to me and I like now I have superpowers.
Yeah.
And like they're both like,
and they looked at her like she was psycho. They're like, bitch, what? Like, are you telling us that like you're like a witch? Like, what are you trying to tell us? Like, you're crazy.
But also she's very confused. Like she's also like, I don't know what I'm saying. That's the thing.
Like she doesn't sound confident. So like, of course they're gonna be like, what the F are you talking about? Like you're such a weirdo. And then Coco's like, okay, well, she's like, if you have superpowers, then like show us. Like, go, there's a fire right there. She's like, show me what you got.
Move it, yeah.
And then of course like Mallory like can't do anything in that moment.
She like does it, the like music goes up and then it's like, Meh.
Yeah. And then Coco's like, LOL, like what a waste girl. LOL. And then Mallory just kind of like storms off.
Yeah. And basically they're like, yeah, she's crazy. She's always got issues. Like, let's get ready for this party. Yeah.
So then it cuts to the party.
And Mrs. Meade is putting down like the apples and she's gonna do a bobbing for apples game. So she's kind of like setting it up.
They're just like amping everything up. Everything's like super like lit. Everyone's so excited. Like these apples.
Everyone's outfits are like on point and whatever.
Yeah.
And so they're setting that up, and then Coco comes in and she's like all excited or whatever. She looks like amazing. She's got that like Victorian look going on.
Yeah.
And behind her, Venable comes in and announces that the party is about to commence. Mm-hmm. She turns on the music, and then everybody starts dancing.
Right.
So then everybody's dancing, and Coco sees a dark figure wearing a mask and like wearing all black, and she's like, "Ooh, that must be Michael because he's not here right now."
Yeah, she got so excited. She got like on right away.
And at that point in time,
I'm gonna come, right? Like it's like set up. Like I know how these things work. Like I got into Harvard, and like so I know everything.
She sounds exactly like you.
Yeah, she's like, you're gonna like get me in, right? And like he's not talking. I'm like, girl, obviously it's not him. Like he's not even talking back to you. What's wrong with you?
Like, why does this always happen in situations where like basically there's nobody answering you at all, so you just continue? Yeah,
she's just like yeah. Like she's going out with the conversation, not like sketching out at all,
not confirming nothing.
And you're right, like you were saying this before too. You're like, this happens in scary movies all the time. I feel like it happened in Scream like 8 different times.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, no, that's not the right person. So yeah, anyway, she starts dancing and she's like, listen, I'm gonna do something that I didn't even let my boyfriend do. And I was like, girl, you like at that moment, even the audience is like, but that's your boyfriend. Like, stop saying stupid shit.
You're just like cringe for sure.
Yeah. So then she's like, I'm gonna do analingus. And I'm like, oh god. So then she goes into the room and she like goes down on her knees and she's about to talk and she's like, I have a short tongue and I don't have a gag reflex, so just letting you know. And then she hears his voice finally. And he's like, I already know that shit.
I know you. She's like,
yeah, she gets so gagged.
What? And then he like takes off his mask, and she's like,
oh,
like, 'cause his face has all these like lesions on it.
Yeah.
And she's like, what
I'm so happy
happened
to see you.
He's like, a radiation apocalypse happened to me. I've been freaking out there for a year. Like, what do you think?
Yeah.
She's like, oh my God. She's like, of course I couldn't save you, whatever. She's trying to like backtrack. She's like sketching out, obviously.
She's like skirting. Yeah,
and like, even in her final moments, like this girl was still making me laugh. She's like, I basically like put you in a part of my heart that like I knew like I
could never get back.
But like I could never get back, like sushi.
Just like sushi.
And I'm like, yo, you're gonna die right now.
Like she couldn't even hold his hand though at the same time. When she saw his hand, she's like, oh God.
Like, it was all like scabby. And then right then he doesn't even say anything. I don't think
he doesn't say anything. He just grabs like a knife and stabs her in the head. Yeah.
Like, dead center.
I was like,
and she's dead.
Yeah, it was so fast.
Yeah.
Were you expecting that to happen that way, that quickly?
I mean, I didn't think it would happen that way, but I definitely knew he was going to kill her. Like, there's just no coming back from literally comparing your, like, husband to sushi. Like he's going to kill you.
He pissed.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
So then it comes back to the party.
And everybody's getting excited.
Like, so lit. They're like bobbing for apples. It's like their last like party, which I guess it technically
was. But then it shows how then it keeps cutting back to how Miss Venable and Miss Meade got the poison, and it was like in this room of snakes, which I'm like, how did these freaking snakes?
They got the snakes, yeah.
Like, and were they the snakes from the sacrifice? Yes, like, how did these snakes?
Which also makes us question, like, you know, how this all happened, right? Like, oh, you have access to snakes? What, like a coincidence?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, like Miss Venable didn't like question it at all.
She didn't question it, but, and I have to say this is really important, in this moment, I wrote it down, in this moment when they're like watching everyone like bobbing, Miss Meade turns to Venable and she's like, do you want to keep, like, are you sure you want to go forward with this? Like, are you sure? Like, we can stop now. Like, we don't have to like give them the apples or whatever.
Oh,
and Venable turns to her and she's like, no. She's like, we're good. She's like, let's move forward. It's too late now. So even in that moment, she gave her one last opportunity to not go through with this. And Venable was so lit. She was like, no, we're gonna do this. Like, we're good.
Wow.
Yeah.
I never noticed that.
So it's very much like the devil or this evil spirit kind of like tempting you and putting it, and like putting it in front of you and being like, you still want to do it? Okay, we're gonna go through with it. Like, it's very much your choice, you know?
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
So anyway,
yeah.
So in that moment, they all like raise their apples to the sky and they're like, yes, let's all eat together. They take their first bites and they're all like happy. And then it's like a crazy bridesmaids moment where like everybody's like bleh, bleh, like
everyone's just like throwing up, like shitting their pants. No, nobody was shitting, but like, everyone's dead. Basically, everyone dies.
Yeah, everybody dies.
I was like,
did you think that everyone was gonna like? Did you think that all that was gonna go down?
I didn't. I was like, is this a dream sequence? You know what I thought for a second? I thought maybe like Michael set it up in the background where he made everyone fake that they were dying.
That's what I thought too. Yeah.
And then like they were alive, but I'm like, oh my god, like they can't all be dead. Like, this is crazy.
Yeah. So like they're all spitting up blood. They're all dying.
Yeah. So they all die.
Such a crazy moment.
It was crazy. And then Venable was like, yeah, we did it. Let's head to Michael's and kill him too. I'm like, bitch, he's a devil. You ain't gonna kill him. Like, come down from your high horse. Like, I don't know how you're so deluged. So they walk into his room.
Yeah.
And he's like, ladies, I don't have time for you guys. Like, I'm on my back. Like, I'm doing work right now. Like, I can't. Yeah. And obviously he's one step ahead of them. Like, he's so confident. She's like, well, does she say everyone's dead?
No, I think he refers to it after the fact, but she basically says, like, it's over for you. I'm going to be a part of the new world, and you're the one that's not going to be a part of the new world. And Miss Meade is holding a gun, and he starts laughing. He's like, what the F is this bull? Mm-hmm. And she's like, you're done now. And she keeps telling Miss Meade, she's like, Miss Meade, like, time to, like, pull the trigger. Mm-hmm. And she's not doing it. And then Michael just turns and is like, Miss Meade. And then Miss Meade, like, starts, like, her hand starts to glitch out.
She's glitching out, yeah.
And then it turns to Miss Venable, and then he shoots her, or she shoots her.
Yeah, Miss Meade shoots Venable, like, dead. She's
dead.
I
can't. I wasn't trying to do that because I'm so loyal to you. And he's like, you're loyal, but you're not loyal to her. Mm-hmm. And then, like, twist / like, it was very predictable that she was, like, friends with him or whatever. So basically, like, Miss Meade has been controlled by Michael this entire time. Right.
And we find out that they have a history and that, like, Michael, she was a part of his life before, right? Like she helped raise him at some point.
And he like pushed back the memories or something. Like he said something like, "I had to protect you, and I had to make sure that it wasn't time for you to know all this information."
Yeah.
But it also turns out that he's the one that planned this whole like bloody massacre or whatever.
Yeah.
He's like, "I don't like to get my hands dirty" or whatever. But what do you think about that whole situation? The fact that he waited this whole time just to kill off the whole cast. Like,
I didn't understand.
Confusing.
I just didn't understand like why like. Okay, everyone's dead, but like, why did you want everyone dead? Like, I didn't understand like what his end mission was.
Right. If you were gonna test everybody, then why didn't you just test everybody properly?
Or just kill them after? Like, what's like? I didn't understand why he wanted to do that in the end. But yeah, so that happens.
Yeah, they hug. They're like all happy or whatever. She's like, "Oh, I remember now. Like you're part of my past." So what do you think that's gonna like? What's gonna happen with that now anyway? Because now we know for sure, confirmed that he is. He was babysat by her essentially, right? But what happened to like Jessica Lange's character?
I don't know what to even think, but I'm so excited to see like that flashback episode because they definitely will go into that and explain like what happened through all these years. So, I guess all we can do is kind of just like wait it out. So then we leave Michael and Miss Meade, right?
Yep.
And it cuts back.
And Miss Venable's dead like a fish. Yeah, like she's like shot dead.
She's legit dead. Then it cuts back to like the room where everyone is dead and the camera's kind of just like, panning over everyone's dead bodies and like there's spit coming out of like their throw ups everywhere. And then it cuts to the stereo and it's like focusing on the stereo and like the song changes.
Yeah.
And it changes to She's a Rainbow by the Rolling Stones, which is like female power. And I'm like, why are they playing this song though? Who's coming?
Which is also like, like the storm is over, like the girls are coming through and like it's gonna be pretty.
Exactly. So it keeps cutting to like it goes I think to like the outside area. There's like fog and like you see these three like dark figures walking. Not even walking, they were like hovering almost. They're so cool. Yeah.
Oh my god!
And then I saw the one. I was like, "Oh my god, that's Emma Roberts for sure." Like I could tell from the back of her head. I'm like, "That's that annoying girl."
Yeah.
And then so we see they swoop into the outpost like fully through the doors. They walk into like the living room area. It's Frances Conroy.
So it's Frances Conroy. I don't know her. I forget her name in the show, but we're gonna call her Balenciaga for now. Yeah. And then it's Cordelia, who's the leader of that coven, and then Madison Montgomery, played by Emma Roberts.
Right.
So they're all three of them are there, and the first thing she says is, "Find your sisters. Like go find your
our sisters." Yeah.
/ like witches / there's more than one sister / I was freaking out because I'm like, oh my god, I'm so into this. I'm literally like, you don't understand. Like, I had like my best moment. I
thought the episode was gonna end like after that whole thing with Miss Meade and Michael, and I'm like, okay, it's done now. And then this happens, and I'm like shook. I'm like, oh my god, I cannot handle this. Like this is
like I said, like the annoying thing was I saw Frances Conroy's name, so I was like waiting for that last moment.
I forgot.
No, I was holding out because I'm like, that means witches are coming. I'm ready. Yeah, like let's do.
So they walk over. They choose 3 of the women.
They don't choose. Yeah, they
they pull them to like in front of them.
So that's the part that was kind of like really sketchy, like not sketchy, but like I was so confused by it because I was like, okay, we know that there was an illusion that Dinah was a witch or had some powers when she was talking to Michael, and then of course with Mallory you see her, but then I'm like, why is there a third body? Who's the third body? I couldn't like see because it was so far away, and then sure enough it like closes in and it's Coco.
Yeah.
Like, what do you think of this trio? What do you think of
I don't know.
them being witches?
I really thought like she was dead, like Coco was dead, because I feel like Leslie Grossman's character never gets like a full season, like full lifetime. Storyline. But I'm so excited for her character. Like I wonder what's gonna happen with her in like witch form. I'm sure they're gonna explain it. I'm sure she's gonna have like an origin story.
I was worried that she was gonna be I'm worried about a few of the characters. For one, I feel like Mallory might end up becoming like the Thaisa Farmiga character because we know how her character went in.
Yeah,
she's new. She's like, what is this world? Like, we kind of follow every the Coven through her eyes. But I feel like we've already been there, done that with that situation.
Yeah.
So I don't know how they're going to present that story. And then Coco, I was like, oh, is she like a next level Madison Montgomery? Because she's like so LA. She's like a spoiled rich kid. But then I think that Madison was more of like a biatch, whereas like Coco, I feel is like pretty lazy. So she just is going to be funny.
We'll see. But I'm
she's just
so
gonna be,
excited.
Comedic
maybe.
Relief. But yeah, I'm super excited. Like 3 new witches, but like the whole coven didn't show up, so we know that the rest of the coven is alive. Do you think that we're gonna see them bring them to their outpost maybe, or do you think that the
probably
witches are gonna come to this coven and be like,
I don't know, I think we have to expand the world a little more than just this outpost, so I feel like there's gonna be another location that these witches came from. Yeah, I feel like there has to be something more.
Yo, I'm beyond.
So how does the episode end? Because like I know you want to talk about the last line of the episode.
Last line. So yeah, so Cordelia breathes life into them, and then Madison leans down and she says like the iconic line of my life. Like I literally put this on a t-shirt, you guys. She says, "Surprise, bitch! I bet you thought you saw the last of me." And
saying it to Mallory.
And she's saying this to Mallory. So first of all, I was gagged because I was like, this is amazing. It's so iconic. And I can't believe they like brought it back for this season. Like I got so happy. But then also I was like, of course you had to say it, but then like now it has to make sense. You know what I mean? Like, why are you saying it to Mallory?
You're so right. So you're thinking she knows Mallory.
I think that she definitely knows Mallory. She was LA, right? She was an LA actress before she became a witch. So
and like Mallory's an assistant, so like maybe they work together. Yeah, it could be.
Yeah. So I feel like that's the connection. I'm sure we're gonna see that in the next episode because like you wouldn't just say that for the sake of saying it, other than like gagging every single gay man in the world right now. So yeah, I'm just very excited to see that happen, and the way that it ended, I was like, yes, bitch, yes, bitch, yes, bitch. Like I can't say it enough times.
It was exciting. I can't wait. And I was scared that like they were gonna introduce them like way too late in the season, but it's only episode 3. Next week's probably gonna be like all Coven basically. So I'm just really excited for that.
Amped. I'm so amped.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the end of the episode. But before we end off everything, what do you think they're going to do with the fact that literally the entire cast is dead?
I mean, at first I was like, I don't effing know where this is going. What are you guys doing? But I think the fact that they kept the 3 girls as witches, I think that might be enough. I don't know, but then it's like why did you focus on Mr. Glan's character so much if like he's just dead by episode 3? Like I don't know. I don't know, guys.
Those like the lovebirds didn't even get a freaking chance to,
I don't know.
speak.
If you guys have any theories, like please let us know. Like message us, comment below, and like let us know what you guys are thinking, because I don't even know what to think. Like I don't know.
I do want to call out one of our listeners who
called them out.
Messaged us on our YouTube channel, which, by the way, we're always welcome to more comments and your guys' input. But she basically has a theory about the Rubber Man and the fact that the outpost is currently sitting on the old house.
Yeah, they built it sort of under the murder house.
Exactly. So, and that's a fantastic theory.
I'm
trying to find her name so I can actually properly call her out. But I was just very excited to like hear that, because that's a really decent theory, and I guess it makes sense like why the Rubber Man is there, because we thought that he was following Michael, but maybe he's not possessed by.
The only thing I worry about is like what are the chances that like the murder house was right above this outpost? You know what I mean?
True.
Unless it was all planned by Michael. It could very well be that like Michael planned where all these outposts were going to be. Yeah. And then like he just built one like under his like old house. Like who knows?
Yeah, for sure. Her name is Case is awesome, and you are awesome.
She is awesome. That was an awesome theory. I loved it.
Little theory. But yeah, I was thinking that even if they all die, they can still come back as ghosts.
Exactly.
Right?
Yes. So, and they all belong in that area, in that space.
Right. But, so they might not they might be dead physically, and they'll just be like annoying ghosts, which is like, okay, fine, whatever. Like we'll have them in some format. But I just like don't know. But then I'm like, but then what? Are we getting like Murder House just like ghosts kind of walking around?
What I
mean.
I don't get it. I don't know how far I want. Like I don't know how. I can't really see how far that's gonna go.
And I guess that's like the biggest worry about this entire season is we knew that there was going to be all these crossovers. We just didn't know how they were all going to connect.
Right.
And I'm a little not concerned, but yeah, I'm a little concerned that it's not going to be cohesive enough and it's not going to make sense, and I'm going to get annoyed by the end of the season. But that being said, episode 3, I got my witches. I'm like sold. I'm fine. I'm pretty good.
You're satisfied.
I'm satisfied.
Okay, so let's get into our recap roundups.
Yes.
Recap roundups. Best moment.
What was your best moment?
My best moment was Avi the ending.
Because I know it's going to be
specifically
yeah.
that final line.
Yeah.
Like, I've been waiting for it. But yeah, even the entrance, the way they walked in, like, you're right, they kind of like floated in, which is really cool. Like, oh god.
And, like, I think my best moment for sure, like, I knew we were gonna have the same one, but like, yeah, even with the music playing, and then there's intro, like, I was just so hype, and like, guys, it was so late at night, but I was like so lit. I was like, no, this is amazing. Like, I can't sleep right now. I'm so excited.
So excited.
WTF moment.
What was your WTF moment?
My WTF moment, I actually had two, and the first one was Mallory being a witch, or like in the beginning at least, like kind of doing that whole fire explosion thing and like the lights turning off. That had me shook. I was like, what? I was not expecting that at all. Right. And then I think at the end too, with everyone just like being dead, like dead, I was like, oh, okay.
Oh boy.
So that happened.
Yeah. I think my WTF moment was the fact that, I think that moment with Mallory was definitely my WTF moment. But going a little bit further, the fact that Michael like clapped back with this like scary face devil monster thing situation. Mm-hmm. So I was kind of confused. Like, we knew that he was evil, we knew that he was dark, but we weren't sure, and we still aren't really 100% sure what he is and what his situation is. But just seeing his physical form change, I was like, oh damn, like, what is he though? Like, for real?
Yeah. Well, yeah, he's probably the devil.
So the next episode I think is called like, is it Satan or something like that? So I'm pretty sure they're gonna uncover that shit.
MVP.
Who's your MVP?
My MVP is gonna be Miss Meade. Just because I feel like she killed it in this episode. I did love her origin story, or like her fake memories or whatever. I love that fight sequence. I love the fact that she was a Mossad agent. Like, it's the most randomest thing ever that they wrote that in there. And I just think that we're going to have a lot to expect from her, especially since, Michael has been controlling her. He's been controlling her memories. And and I really want to find out like what their bond was. Why does she feel so close to him, or like what happened between the two? I want to know more about that.
That bomb.
Yeah. What about you?
My MVP is going to be Mallory. Even though she didn't do too much this episode, I'm always down for a brand new witch, number one. And number two, like, she's like the only one that like felt uncomfortable enough in that situation to clap back and be like, no, I feel uncomfortable, I'm gonna leave now. Like, everybody else was like ready to like suck his D.
That's
and
true.
She was like,
that's
no,
true.
I'm not gonna do this, I'm gonna leave, I don't feel comfortable.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's just definitely just shows her personality a little bit more. And I'm just pretty excited to see like where they're gonna take her character. And I think that she's gonna be like, she's obviously the most understated character currently in the season, so I'm excited to see where they're gonna take her.
LVP.
But my LVP, I'm gonna have to say, is Mallory.
Wow.
Just because straight up she couldn't come through with her witchiness. She didn't really do anything, which is totally fine, girl. Don't worry. Like, I still love you, and I think that I'm putting her as my LVP this week, because I think next week she will be my MVP. I feel like her role is gonna be super badass, and I can't wait for it. So
nice. Mine is Brock, and
why?
Like I don't know.
He was so cool. He was like freaking Deadpool.
Okay, fair enough. Like, I do feel like Billy Eichner, this was like the biggest like change for his character ever. But at the same time, I was like, he came in kind of out of nowhere, effed some ish up very quickly, like killed Coco, but then didn't kill Coco, because then she comes back like literally a second later. So like, what was the purpose of your character? What are you doing here? And what happened to you after that, like the whole thing ended? Like, I don't know. I just feel like they inserted him in, and I hope he has like an actual purpose in the story now that the witches are there.
I'm thinking he'll probably side with the witches and like maybe help them out, because he does have experience with like living on the outside, and like he's been up there this whole time, so like maybe he'll like guide them and like find like a new place to live. I don't know.
Fair point. It's so funny that there's always
again,
like
J-Lag, he was a special guest star, so that means that he's probably not going to be a season regular.
True. We'll see. He'll probably like die halfway, like do like a hold on moment or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure. We'll see. And I love the fact that like, if that's the case, that he's gonna help out the Coven, that the Coven always has like a freaking, like a boy toy around to like help them out, like a little bit of muscle. So yeah, that'll be cool. Actually, I'm down for that.
Yeah.
The best line.
So my best line had to be like surprise bitch, but also I guess because it's an old line, I can't really say it again. So I also chose a line from Michael, and I forget who he's talking to in that moment, but I think it might be like Miss Meade or somebody. But he says, "All people given the right task are evil motherfuckers." And I was like, okay. And it basically, I think, is like the synopsis of the entire show is the fact that, like, you know, he's the devil. He's basically persuading people to do evil things. He's not like going in there and like just totally killing people randomly. He's actually just getting people to do bad things. And I think,
which is really, if you believe, like if you follow religion your whole life, like that is basically what the devil like symbolizes, right? Like he's not really doing anything. He's not doing it. He's kind of just like tempting you and like kind of pushing you in that direction. And like I was saying before, like with Venable and Meade, like Meade gave her that chance to be like, you sure you want to go through with this? And Venable at that point was so far gone, she was like, yeah, I'm down.
Such a good point. I didn't even notice that the first time.
So it's totally that idea.
I also think that too, like just knowing this is a post-apocalyptic world, it is about making new choices and choices that might not make the most sense. So I think the fact that he says, like, you know, just given the right task, it's all about survival. People are going to do whatever it takes to survive. Venable made an choice to survive. Yeah. You know, like it's almost like her circumstances made her evil. And that's essentially what he says in that line. So I was down for that.
Yeah, no, for sure. And it's interesting because I couldn't choose. I think Michael had some crazy lines. The writing of this episode was so insane. I loved it. So I had two lines, but my first one was from Michael. I don't remember who he was talking to, but he was basically like, I don't want the people who are going to just eat the forbidden fruit. He's like, I want people who are going to fucking like cut that tree down, take the branches and like make a fire with it. So he clearly wants someone or people who are going to know how to survive. They're going to do whatever the F it takes to survive, and they're gonna break the rules. Like they're not just gonna take the fruit and like walk away and be like, ooh, the fruit. They're gonna like take that whole tree down. So that just shows you like what kind of people he's looking for. And where his mindset is. And like his second line was, I don't like unpredictability unless I'm responsible for it. And so I was like, yeah, you're the devil. Like who says that? Like that's totally like a devil line to say, because like so he wants control. To be in control of everything for sure. So this episode, like the writing was like I had so many good lines. It was such a good episode.
And I think even that, which is probably why he has such a problem with the witches, is because of the fact that he can't control them. Of course. So he's like, this powerful resources over here, but I can't control them, so I don't feel comfortable.
Like even just the way he looked at Mallory in that moment, he was like, "Who are you?" Like he was so shook. I think like you were saying, like he knew who Adina Porter's character was. I feel like they knew each other on another level, so he knew what to expect from her. But then when Mallory came through, he was like, I have no idea who this bitch is. Like, this is crazy. Crazy.
That's the episode, guys.
It was so good.
I'm so excited for the rest of the season. I'm so ready for the witches, Avi. Let us know what you guys think about this episode. Make sure you guys comment, and if you haven't yet, like I said, subscribe to the channel. Make sure you guys find us on every type of podcasting situation.
Spotify, YouTube,
Google,
Twitter, Instagram. Like really, guys, comment below. Let us know what you guys are thinking, your theories, your best moments, your MVPs. We want to know those as well. And like always, thank you guys for listening and being nice in the comments.
Everybody's so nice and constructive. All right, thanks for listening, guys.
Bye.
Bye.